shawty, what's your name? Is you down for a prince? If I tell you you a dime, baby, do it make sense? Cause you know I'm in the building. Do I put you on the list? Never mind, you a thought, yeah, I've seen you at a year, man. When they see me out in public on a shopping spree, it's all flash and they acting like they TMZ. Try to get up in my way and all in front of me, but I'm just trying to go and kick it on some Bruce Lee. Old hoes hating on me with their new bands. He a sneakerhead rocking $20 bands. The other working TSA at the airport, hitting licks after working black Air Forces. And I ain't trying to be petty, I'll rebound, but 3 girls by the slide like a playground. Well, the shorty hella petty, she don't got the crown. Every selfie that she posting always got a frown. Never rolling with a swirl, I don't take a pic. Shorty on a shopping spree, I don't take a pic. My homie with his new girl, I don't take a pic. I got drip on me, I don't take a pic. Boy, you look like paparazzi, don't take a pic. All this ice like I play hockey, don't take a pic. All my riders Kawasaki, don't take a pic. Cause I know that everybody try to copy it.
There he is.
Yo, what's up? What's up?
What's up, Prince Mula? How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you? Pretty good.
Oh man, welcome to the show. I'm on one leg here.
Okay.
With this whole coronavirus going on, so man, I know I wanted to get you into the station, but I usually say welcome to WSJU radio, but welcome to quarantine radio.
There we go. Yeah. How's Jersey treating you?
Jersey? I'm in Connecticut.
Oh, you're in Connecticut. How's Connecticut treating you?
Connecticut's going all right. I mean, I wish I could be back in Queens, but how's everything going with you?
Man, it's crazy. They just announced a shutdown today, so starting midnight tonight, we can't leave our house for 3 weeks.
It's getting crazy out here.
It's getting crazy, yeah.
Everything's getting shut down between malls, movie theaters.
Yeah, everything over here. All we have open is grocery stores and pharmacies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everything is probably sold out there too, right?
Yeah, toilet paper, everything, snacks. I went to the grocery store this morning, they just had snacks and stuff, but I mean, everything else is gone.
People are going crazy over the toilet paper. I saw people on Twitter fighting each other, man. Fist fighting.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Like, I mean, yeah, it's just like an epidemic. I don't know, man. People are going crazy over every little thing. They're just freaking out. But, I mean, we'll see where we are in 2-3 weeks. Might be better, might be worse.
Mm-hmm. So, Prince Mula, I know you just dropped an album. You have Everywhere Cinematic Lifestyle. Let's give it a round of applause.
Thank you.
For Cinematic Lifestyle. Tell me how long you've been putting that album together for.
I started working on the album probably my junior year of high school. I had released the EP my junior year that I spent a few years working on. So the process from right when that came out to when the album came out was when I started working the album. So it was about 2 years. Mm-hmm. But it's a piece that I'm very proud of. I've been making music since I was a kid, but within the past maybe 2-3 years, it is all reflected in the album, and that's where the name Cinematic Lifestyle came from. Just because both in music and in life, everything just feels like it's starting to fall into place, and so that's kind of where the title came from. It feels like a movie.
Who designed the album cover?
His name's Edgar Daniel. He's in LA right now. He used to work at the studio I recorded at Redwall Studios, so that's how I got in contact with him. And yeah, man, I love that artwork. Like, I knew from right when I came up with the title, I was like, I want him specifically to do it. Yeah. So that was cool.
Who are some other people he's photographed?
He worked with this dude, Craig White. He's from San Jose. Mm-hmm. I got to go through his Instagram, but he got some people he works with, some big names. So I love working at his art, like looking at his art, like even just on his website. He doesn't just do album covers, he does photo shoots, music videos. So just seeing all his art, it's like a specific vibe that I knew that's what I wanted to capture for the cover.
Hmm. And I know you grow up in Los Angeles, right? Is that where you grew up?
Bay Area.
Bay Area? Okay. Yeah. Now, what was it like growing up there?
It was cool, man. As a kid, I really got into music, but I was never really into the Bay Area style until maybe high school. You know, as a kid, like one of my first favorite rappers was Wayne. So growing up, I just kind of dug and did my own homework. So like, you know, everybody in Young Money, Aftermath, you know, the whole Death Row movement, everybody and the labels that I kind of looked up to were the ones I dug into. So I didn't really get into the whole hyphy Bay Area style till high school, but you know, once I started getting into that, it just kind of all started to fall together because I knew what type of music I listened to. I knew like the culture I came from, and I just kind of all incorporated it. And so that kind of, you know, made me the artist I am today.
Now, who are some other artists that inspired you?
Wayne's definitely number one.
Wayne. And you mentioned him in your intro with the Carter 3.
Yes. Yeah. Carter 3 was one of the first albums I listened to as a kid. I was about 9, 10 years old.
It's a crazy album.
It is. It's not even my favorite Wayne album. But just
really? What's your favorite Wayne album?
That's tough, man. It's between the first Carter, 500 Degrees, the Free Weezy album, Rebirth, or I would say Carter 2. One of those 5.
Carter 3 goes hard, though.
Carter 3 does go hard.
What's your favorite song?
You know, it was Wayne, it was Snoop, E40 inspired me. I'm a big Will Smith fan. Like Will Smith? So, yeah, Will Smith. Eminem, Tyler, the Creator. I'm a big fan of Tyler. So my top 5 is very, you know, very broad. Very.
What did you think of Tyler, the Creator's Grammy performance?
I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was cool to see. I thought he was going to do something a little more mainstream to kind of appeal to everybody, but he definitely, you know, put his own twist on it. He had Boyz II Men, Charlie Wilson to kind of
legends, R&B legends. I was surprised they even came out. I didn't even know he was into that type of music.
Yeah, well, Charlie Wilson's on the song, so I expected him. I didn't expect Boyz II Men.
Yeah.
But then he just turned around and kind of did his weird, you know, his kind of thing. So I liked how he did kind of the two things because that really reflects him as an artist. And I mean, I've been listening to Tyler since I was, I think, 11, 12 years old. So kind of seeing him progress, I think that performance kind of sums everything up from, you know, the weird, immature Tyler face to now the really artsy kind of Tyler.
What do you think makes Tyler, the Creator, an attractive artist? Because to me, I haven't really checked them out too much. I've listened to, what was the song, Yonkers? Is that what it was?
Yonkers, yeah.
I don't know, I just don't like his style that much. What would you say makes him an attractive artist?
I think when he first started out, he was very rebellious. The whole Odd Future kind of crew had that rebellious thing to them. What I really like is they're all from LA, so, I mean, you listen to them, you wouldn't be able to tell where they're from. They don't have that LA vibe. They have their own specific thing. And so growing up as a kid, you know, they had their shows like Loiter Squad. He does cartoons. He does all these things, and his his sense of humor is funny. So I think he uses his personality a lot into his music, and he's really creative to the sense that like he has no boundaries. You know, he just does what he wants to do, and if nobody likes it, he's just still going to do it. And so I feel like that's something that's very important to have in music. And starting off as a very controversial artist that he was, now you look at him 10 years later, and he's very mainstream. He's very artsy. He's very different. So seeing that evolution just from point A to point B is kind of one of the reasons why he's my top 5 favorite artists.
Oh, he's your top 5.
I put him in my top 5. Yeah, Wayne, Snoop, Tyler, E40, and 5 would either be Will Smith or Eminem. One of those.
Well, it's gotta be Eminem.
It could be Eminem. You know, Eminem's an amazing rapper too. I feel like his discography is a little shaky at times.
Especially right now. Did you like his latest drop?
I did like his newest album. I liked Kamikaze a little bit better, but I think his last 2 albums were solid. I think the 2 before that, was it? The Revival and Marshall Mathers 2, I was not a big fan.
I didn't like them either. I thought they could have been way better.
I think they were unnecessary. I think that he just kind of put them out to put them out. But I mean, I don't really know what his creative process is.
Yeah, I don't know. He's changed his voice. It's been a lot of issues with Eminem that I've been pretty much dissecting and looking into, in which he could be a way better artist from the back in the day. He's not Slim Shady anymore.
He's not, and I mean, I understand that, you know, every artist got to grow up and mature, but I just feel like M is very, he's trying too much to be like a, you know, lyrical, spiritual, miracle kind of rapper. He needs to just go back to, like, even Recovery, I think, was a great album.
Recovery was, to me, his last best album.
Yes, it was his last great album, I would agree with you.
I think it could have been way better from on that point, just seeing where Recovery was at, and he went down. You know what I mean?
I think he tried to do kind of what he did with Relapse, is try to capture the old version of himself, and I just feel like that's not something he could do. But I feel like with his newest album, he executed it well. I mean, it's not the 2000s. Eminem's not going to be on top of the world, but I think he executed it great.
Yeah, and another artist that you mentioned too, you know, just seeing how an artist can grow is Kanye West. Are you a fan of him?
Yes. I'm a fan of Kanye to an extent. I feel like
Okay.
he's somebody that I was always able to separate him from the music. But I just feel like within the past 2 years, like his music isn't even that good anymore. I feel like his last
No.
good album was Life of Pablo.
No. Yeah.
But I mean Kanye West, like I respect him. He's an amazing producer. I would put him in my top 5 producers for sure. But yeah, everything after Life of Pablo is shaky as well. Like I was not a fan of his gospel album.
Yeah. And when people say an artist is growing, like you said, people say this is how Kanye is growing now. I don't see any growth there with Kanye West. If we go back to the old Kanye West, I think he peaked.
I would say I see the thing that I liked about Kanye, and same thing with Wayne, same thing with Tyler, is every album they reinvent themselves. Every album's different to the point where when you try to list them, it's really hard to. And so I feel like Kanye did that up until Life of Pablo because the Life of Pablo is a very artsy album.
Yeah.
You go to Yeezus, who's very like metal inspired kind of grunge album, and then there's every album's different. Soul samples, auto tune. Everything evolves. But I just feel like with recent times, I just feel like I don't know, he's stuck. I don't really know what's going through his mind. And everything in his life, you see him in the news all the time. It's gotten old.
Yeah, and you mentioned Wayne many times before. What did you think of Funeral?
The first time I listened to it, I was like, okay, it's an album that I've been waiting for because he announced it probably 3 years ago. I think that it was what I expected it to be, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But at the same time, like after listening to it a few times, there's about half the album I really like, and then the other half that I just completely don't listen to at all. So I would say, the songs that I do listen to, like I like it a lot. Songs I don't. But I got the CD in my room right now. Like,
you got the CD.
And I'm gonna support it either way. So
Where'd you get the CD from?
I went to go see him in Blink-182 over the summer, so I got a free copy sent to my house.
Oh, so you met him then?
I didn't meet him. I just went to go see him in concert.
Oh, okay. How was that?
It was awesome, man. I went to a lot of concerts this year, but I feel like that was definitely my favorite, just because like I said, he's my favorite. So I knew every song word for word. Like, it was cool. I flew out all the way to LA just to go see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta enjoy those moments because there's no more concerts as of now.
Man, it's crazy. I was supposed to see SOB last week, and then we were supposed to go see Wild 'N Out today. And Saweetie was the guest on Wild 'N Out. So we're supposed to have concerts lined up, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Now, did you come back after spring break, or you stayed in the Bay Area?
I stayed. I didn't go home for spring break. I stayed in New York.
Oh, okay.
I actually went to the Millennium Tour over spring break, so I had stuff planned,
Yeah.
and then Thursday is when I was just like, it went from 0 to 100 within 24 hours. So I went home.
Thursday, I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my life, where the NBA cancels, the NHL shuts down, the MLB postpones.
Yeah,
famous
it was
people in
crazy.
Hollywood are getting it.
It's not scary, but it's scary. It feels like I Am Legend. That's what it feels.
Yeah, it does. It feels like the apocalypse. No one's out on the streets. I've seen viral videos of New York City. There's no one out on the streets at all, which is really surprising.
Yeah, I mean, here it's a little bit different. There's still people out, and everyone's kind of doing their thing until obviously they shut everything down tonight. But Monday night is when they sent out the email. And I'm in Hollis, it was just a normal Monday, and then within 30 minutes.
Oh, so you did go back to the dorm then?
Yeah. I was in Hollis, and right when they sent out the email, you see waves of people leaving. Like, it felt like that intro scene from I Am Legend when everyone's rushing the bridge. Like, it was crazy.
Did you see the viral video of the hazmat guy in, I believe, what was it? Henley.
O'Connor, the teacher? Or the student?
Yeah.
I did see that. I'm not too sure what the update is with that. I heard it was fake, or she didn't have corona, he didn't have corona, but I heard that the teacher had it, school sent out the email, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's
I wasn't taking any chances because I was going to come back that day. I didn't even have a show scheduled that night, and I wasn't stressing it because I heard about the coronavirus, and I'm like, I don't think they should be letting us back, especially people are coming from the UK and overseas and all that stuff, especially, I heard that they brought the abroad students home and they were on campus.
Yeah, I heard that too. I think that was Sunday.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man. It was all very last minute, play by ear kind of thing. So I think the school handled it as best as they could. At least they didn't leave us out in the cold, and tell us go home.
I think the 1 day thing was ridiculous, though. They should have let everyone go home during spring break because we were hearing about this for weeks. They brought home the abroad students in February sometime.
Yeah, okay, so that Friday I went to the Millennium Tours when it kind of started to kick up in the city.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom called me. She's like, be careful, it's crazy. And just in the subways, I was like, okay, I'm going to be cautious. And by then, I think there was maybe 10, 20 cases in New York. Now it's close to 1,000. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy, and it hasn't even been 2 weeks yet.
And they're just increasing by the numbers. It's just insane.
Exponentially, man, it's crazy.
That's why we're trapped in our houses right now doing the
Of
show.
course, see, there you go, on FaceTime.
You gotta do what you gotta do in this time, man. I swear. But
Yeah.
how about we get into a little bit of background of you and becoming an artist? What age did you start taking it seriously?
I started writing when I was 10. I was in 4th grade when I started writing, and then I think, so when I was 12 years old, I started going to the Boys and Girls Club, and they had a little music studio there. And there's this guy who worked there, his name was Daniel, and he brought his little 8-track, and he was like, oh, I used to record music in the 90s, and he was showing me my friends. And so I was like, okay, this is interesting. So that's when I started taking it more serious. Me and my friends were going to that studio. Like I said, we were 12. We didn't know how to use the equipment.
Yeah.
So I had an iPod Touch, and I had Fruity Loops on there. And so we used to record using FL Studio on my iPod. And we used to just record like little mixtapes, put them on SoundCloud. This was back in like 2013.
Yeah. Were you recording over just random beats online or any famous artist beats?
Just kind of, I like to follow after the Dedication series.
Okay,
so just find instrumentals. Yeah, just instrumentals I liked as a kid, and we just rap over them.
Do you think Wayne did some instrumentals on Dedication better than actual artists who were on?
Oh, for sure. I think if Wayne takes your beat for a Dedication song, then it's his song now. That's just how it works.
Okay, what do you think are some songs that are his song that he took?
Man, there's so many. It's hard to even tell. I mean, I Dedication 6 is the newest one. He did a Bank Account remix by 21 Savage, and I think that song is crazy.
He did it better.
I remember the first time I listened to it, my jaw dropped. Like, amazing.
Another song that I think that he did pretty good was, what was it? I think the Try Me remix by Dej Loaf.
That was an interesting
I think
one.
That was
I think I was on Sorry for the Wait.
Sorry for the Wait, yeah, that was the one. Yeah, those are fire too. When Wayne puts out a mixtape, I like those better than some of his albums.
I think so too. I feel like, I know he says it in the skits, his approach is very, when it's an album, it's like, you gotta fine tune it. But when it's a mixtape, you just have creative control to do whatever you want. And I feel like that's two completely different lanes that he takes that makes him a great artist, because like he has his albums, he has his mixtapes, and he takes different approaches to them.
Yeah. Now, when did you start going out in the open that you were a rapper? Did you start doing some freestyles? When was this?
I mean, in high school, we used to just, rap at the lunch tables, and we used to all have ciphers together. But even in middle school, like, me and my friends used to rap together. We used to write songs at lunch in, like, elementary school. So it was always, something I did. But I think around the time I was 12 is when it transitioned from a hobby to something I seriously wanted to do. But I would say, most of it was experimental. I was just doing it. And then I would say up until maybe high school is when I got to the point where I was like, okay, like, I'm going to take a step forward. So I started recording on my phone. I stopped recording in my room. Started going to an actual studio. Started putting money into it, taking it serious.
What was that like being in the studio for the first time?
It was cool. It was definitely an experience because it's the studio, shout out to Redwall Studio. It was a studio that I had already seen. Like, I knew about them for years and had always wanted to go. So, I saved up my paychecks when I was working. I was like, all right, like I called my friend Sos. He's the one that I started rapping with as a kid. I was like, all right, man, let's go to the studio. And so we recorded 2 songs, and the first song I actually recorded is on the album. It's called Steady Rockin'. But
okay, and you recorded that with, I believe his name is Tony Sway, right?
Tony Sway, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I went into the studio, and I was just like, the transition from recording into my room in a professional studio just felt great. Like, having an engineer with me was important because, I don't want to mix and master. I don't want to learn how to use auto-tune. I don't want to learn how to do all that. I just want to go in and execute as a rapper, because if I don't have to worry about the technical stuff, then I can just tell them, hey, let me try this, and that. And then, things just move faster. So, shout out to my engineer, Ryan. Like, that's what we did for the album. If I wanted to try using auto-tune for the first time, I told him, hey, let's try this out. And he already knows what to do. So it just makes things flow faster.
Now, how would you say that you've grown as an artist until this point? From the point you just started?
I would say it's tough because there's different phases. When I was a kid, it was a hobby. Then it became something I like to do. And I didn't really figure out what type of artist I wanted to be until maybe middle of high school, because, like I said, I didn't grow up listening to hyphy music until high school. So the whole West Coast style wasn't a thing till later. Yeah. I always knew my favorite artist was Wayne, but my voice was a little too deep to do the high-pitched stuff. Yeah. And, I didn't know how to use auto-tune, but I also didn't want to copy anybody. I didn't want to try to sound exactly like somebody. I wanted to be myself. And so I think being experimental is what helped me. And that's basically what made the album, is since a kid to now, it was always me trying new things. And then once I started to figure out what was working for me is what I started doing, whether it's different styles, different subgenres. And so I've been able to figure out myself as an artist is, me trying to take different lanes. It's me not just sticking to one subgenre. If you listen to the album, there's 2000s R&B, there's G-Funk, there's hyphy, there's auto-tune rap, there's melodic rap, there's, things about life. It's just
you
every song sounds completely
bars
different.
too.
Yeah. So I was trying to do everything different. And I feel like that's where Wayne inspires me, is because when you listen to every Wayne album, it sounds completely different.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of, once I figured that out, I was like, okay, this is my lane as an artist. You can't put me in a specific box. I want to do everything.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to get you on my show, because even though, you can have mainstream appeal, at the same time you can spit bars. I can get some type of knowledge from listening to your music, whereas today, some of the music on those airways and those major radio stations, especially WSJU's this time, thank you for Gary for changing up the playlist, as the music director, I mean, they could be horrible. I mean, we're in the era of what I call microwave rap, and I would say artists have lost their artistry. You know what I mean? Because they're so focused on being the wave.
Exactly. I mean, I'm split on the decision. When it comes to the 2010s, like the whole trap music wave, I like it to an extent because it's fun. It's fun to play in the car when you're with friends, but when it comes down to being creative, I feel like it's not as creative as it could be.
It's not, and it doesn't last as long too, because we're always looking for the next track that's coming out.
Yeah.
Whereas you want
and it's repetitive. It's repetitive.
Exactly.
Like when you listen to the Migos' first Culture album, I really liked. Culture 2 comes out and it's the same song 40 times. So it's just like, I don't know, man. I just feel like the genre has become repetitive. So I'm hoping that, this decade we switch it up.
Yeah, and I hope we do. And it's time to make music that's timeless.
Exactly. And there's pros and cons. I mean, I think we have great artists. YB Cordae is a great artist.
Okay, yeah. I know he's done some things on stage with the Anderson .Paak that I liked.
Yes. And Anderson .Paak's a great artist too. But then again, like I like the melodic rap as well. The NBA YoungBoys, the Juice WRLDs. I really like that. But then it does get to a point where it's repetitive. So I think as long as people continue to switch it up, but continue to stick to what works for them, is what's going to work.
And that's the problem too, because I'll be down on these artists like Juice WRLD and all these melodic guys out here, but it may be because all these other artists are trying to sound like them and they sound the same, and we're all categorizing them as this one genre where people need to switch up their style, create your own sound. If you look at the 90s, Tupac didn't sound like Biggie. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z didn't sound like Biggie.
Mm-hmm.
You knew people's different voices. Today, it all sounds the same.
This is another reason why Wayne is my favorite rapper, because if we look at it, I mean, he's been around since the 90s. That's 3 decades, and he switched everything.
Hot Boys.
If you look at this decade, I've heard him rap over trap beats, generic trap beats, and, do some repetitive trap music style, but he still keeps that lyricism. He still keeps himself in there. And then I hear him turn around and rap on generic trap beats like, Bank Account, and turn around and actually rap on them. So I just feel like people need to be a little bit more creative and just, try new things.
And people dumb it down too nowadays. I feel like they can expand their artistry, and they have the talent. They have the talent to do the nonsense that they're doing now. How about they actually try rapping?
Yeah, and I know a lot of them can. I mean, I know Juice WRLD was able to rap. I've heard him freestyle.
And another one too, as an example, why I wasn't a big fan of his music, who could have been way better, was Pop Smoke. I've seen him in some freestyles and said, this guy could have been way better than he was.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really hop on Pop Smoke till I moved to New York, because I had no clue who he was before. But the first time I heard him, I was like, bro, this dude sounds like DMX whispering. And his music was a little bit repetitive, but like I said, it was fun. It's the type of music you play in the parties, you play with your friends in the car. But then, like, I heard him, I forgot what song it was, but somebody posted a snippet. I think it was right before or right after he died. He was doing like rapping over a 90s beat. I was like, dude, like, this guy actually has like talent,
Yeah. But that's the nature of the industry right now, and I always have this conversation with people: is why do they have to dumb down to these record labels? Why can't you just be an artist yourself? Because you have executives in that company telling you how to be an artist. No, do it this way, do it that way. Whereas artists should be able to express their creativity the way they want it.
And I think that's somewhere that is going to get better within the next 10 years, because record labels are starting to go down. Independent artists are starting to become more popular.
Independent artists are on the rise.
I think Chance the Rapper came out, 15, 16?
Yeah.
Was when he started to really get mainstream with Coloring Book and, preach the importance of being independent artists. And so now we have all these distribution companies, United Masters, CD Baby, DistroKid. And so that's letting artists like me, we don't need a label anymore. We can just put it out ourselves. And so I feel like with labels going down, it's going to help. But at the same time, we also have social media. And social media is what's making people become repetitive, trendy, and follow trends. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like artists need to, like I said, be more creative, kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, and that's important in this day and age. And how long have you been putting tracks out on iTunes and major music platforms? Is this the first time, or?
I started doing that, I want to say around my sophomore year of high school. When I put out my first EP is when I put out my first singles and then, project on there. And that was a very experimental EP. It was called Wave Season. I recorded it in my room, mixed and mastered some of the songs myself. But what it was me kind of, okay, let me take things more serious.
Yeah.
Instead of doing remixes, instead of doing low budget songs, I was actually putting effort into things. I have 2 features on there, 2 artists that I listened to since middle school. And then I reached out to them and ended up collaborating with them. So then that, and as well as working with producers that were a lot bigger, kind of helped me realize, okay, this could become bigger than life. And so then when it went to transitioning to my album, the only transition I really made was recording from my room into a studio. So then I did
big difference.
Reached out. What's that?
That's a big difference.
It is a big difference. And, a lot of people preach the importance of a home studio. If you could do it, that's great.
Yeah.
If you have the talent to do it, that's great. But at the same time, it's just not my cup of tea, But working with producers that I've listened to and wanted to work with, or artists that I wanted to work with, like that's just something that has worked out well for me within the past maybe 4 years. And I think that's when I started putting things on iTunes and everything, because it's like, okay, now I'm proud of the music I'm putting out. Let me show this, and you can see my growth from here on out.
And which you can see that with your album. And I know you made a dedication post to when you released a new album, just expressing that this album means a lot to you and that you've grown as an artist over the years. What would you say are some of your favorite tracks off of this album?
Man, it's crazy. I'm gonna pull up this track list right now. The thing that I think is so special about this album compared to everything else is every song on here has its own vibe, has its own story, was inspired by something. So, for the longest time, it was hard for me to decide what's my favorite song on here.
I got the track list pulled up on here too, so everyone can look at the live stream right now. Cinematic Lifestyle is available on all music platforms. Make sure you go check it out. Prince Mula.
Yep. Okay, so let's see. Steady Rockin' was one of the first songs I recorded. It was inspired by 2000s R&B, so that was something that was very experimental. It was just kind of like, let me try it, see if it works, and it worked for me. So that was a great song. Third National Anthem's fun because my boy King Coast is on it. That's my boy Sos, so shout out Sos, because we started making music when we were 12.
Yeah.
So we have we made a twerking song when we were in elementary school, and I remember it's in my Dropbox. I listened to it, and it's like, dude, like we made this when we were 12. Here we are, 19, 20 years old, and we're still making things, and we can see our growth. So that's a fun song when it comes to personal reflection. G-Whip is a fun song because it was inspired by G-Funk music. Mm-hmm. Cinematic Lifestyles, melodic. All these songs are just inspired by completely different
and
things.
G-Whip, something that I like that you did, especially with the G-Funk, is that being as a West Coast artist, you pay homage, which a lot of artists from the New York area do not do that. They'll hop on A Boogie sound. I don't think A Boogie has New York sound, to be honest, too, but that's another conversation for another day. Whereas you embody what like Nate Dogg did, you know what I mean? You pay homage to what Von Tell did, all these G-Funk artists of that time, and that's important.
I think homage is important, yes. And G-Whip, I pay homage to Snoop and Dre with the Nothing But a G-Thing reference. And Steady Rockin', I pay homage to Lil Wayne and Currency song called Grown Man. So I know my homage. If you look on my Genius page, like I'm making sure that is being detailed there. And I just feel like homage is important because the music that we listen to as artists growing up and defines us who we are really makes us as an artist. So you can't have yourself and just say nobody inspired you or not pay homage, because in the end of the day it's about being grateful. Same thing with athletes. Athletes do the same thing. When Kobe died, you see all these people talking about Kobe.
And I know you were upset with that because, and I was too, and I'm not even a Laker fan, I'm a Knicks fan, and I know coming from the West Coast, you had to be heartbroken about that.
Bro, I cried on the subway. Like,
I don't blame you.
Man, that was devastating.
Yeah.
I remember that morning. I was with my friends. We were on our way to the city, and we're on the subway. So every time you hit a stop is when you get service, but in between you don't have service. And so I remember my friend texting me. He's like, "Hey, they just said Kobe died." And so then we get to the next stop. I pull it up on Google. I looked at Kobe Bryant, and I refresh it, and I don't see anything. So then the next stop, my dad calls me. He's like, "Hey, did you hear what happened?" I was like, "It's not real."
I didn't believe it either.
And so then TMZ posted. TMZ was the first one to post it.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, a few years ago, TMZ said Wayne died, and Wayne didn't die.
Yeah, no. They can post some fake things at times, so I
Yeah. So that was my first reaction. I was like, this is not real. And then by the time I get, every stop is just you see more and more news reports, and once I started seeing actual news reports, man, like like I started to tear up. And so then throughout the day we're in the city and I was just kind of trying to ignore it. And so then I was like, you know what, I want to go to the NBA store.
Yeah.
And so that's where we go. And they had the whole, they had the news report. And that's when it hit me, bro. Just tears came out. And it's crazy. Like, I have not cried that hard since my grandpa died when I was 12. Like, that one hit home.
They hit the whole world, and you saw that night with the Grammys. People were affected by it. And it affected me for a while because I liked Kobe. I put him over LeBron my whole life. I'm like, he's better than LeBron.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like, bro, like, my roommates, my friends in New York, they're all Celtics fans.
Oh, God.
Celtics hate the Lakers, but they were the first ones to tell me, like, bro, we're sad too, and we hate Kobe. So it's just like, it really shows. And what hurts me the most is just like, he had just retired. He had a lot ahead of him. He inspired people in basketball. He was inspiring people in life. I mean, I don't play basketball, but he inspired.
Look what he did after basketball with his daughter, and then you have the Oscar that he won. There was so much more that he was an accomplishment.
Yeah, he has so much after basketball. Same thing with his daughter. Like, his daughter was supposed to become an amazing WNBA player. Like, she could have been to my future kids what Kobe was to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough, but I mean, after about 2 weeks is when I kind of started to accept it. And I was like, you know what, this is life, and all we can do from here is learn from it, remember the good times, keep the lessons, and just carry on what we learned from it.
What would you say was your Kobe? Number 8 or number 24?
24, just because, I became a big Laker fan probably around 2nd, 3rd grade. That was what, 08, 09.
Yeah.
Right before they started, right before they went back-to-back championships. And I'm from the Bay Area, so everybody's Warrior fans over here. But the Warriors weren't that good. My mom's family's from Long Beach, so everybody over there was like, Lakers fans. So that's how I got into basketball. And just, seeing Kobe, like right when he died, I reflected on everything that I went through as a kid, just highlights, seeing like, Kobe Bryant, Derek Fisher, Lamar Odom, Ron Artest, like all of them. And it's just like, man, like nostalgia hits you. But those are just great memories. I got Kobe's jersey on my wall right here.
Oh, you do?
That I got when I was in 3rd grade. Like it's the size small in kids.
I have my Kobe jersey somewhere. I had a number 8 purple. That was my first jersey I ever had. It's somewhere in my house, but it was from when I was like 2 or 3. But that's what hit me because that was my first jersey, and I ended up being a Knicks fan, which I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but it's devastating.
It happens.
At least you've seen some wins over the years.
Yeah, man. What really sucks the most is like, everything just in life and in music. There's 2 people that have inspired me the most. 2 people I've ever idolized, and that's Kobe Bryant and Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne, yeah.
Kobe's gone. That means I got one idol left. I always had said in my mind, I'm gonna meet my idols. I want to have a conversation with them. Knowing that Kobe's not here anymore, I'm not gonna be able to do that. So, we'll see what happens in life, but hopefully I can meet that second idol.
Yeah, and I'm sure it'll happen, and I'm pretty sure that's who you're gonna want to work with in the future as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've always said, like, knowing the importance of being independent. I never wanted to sign to a label. Yeah. But if Young Money called me today, I would tell them, let me get in the studio with Wayne. I would sign to a label if it meant being around him every day as an artist, because I feel like learning from him and personal experiences is more than money could offer.
Who are some other artists that you would like to work with?
I want to work with E40 just because,
that's a legend, man. That's a legend,
man. And
I have him on my wall back there, too.
Yeah, man. Like he's definitely underrated despite being in the game since the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, I just love listening to his music, and he's so, like, you can't think about the Bay Area without thinking about E40.
Oh.
And listening to his music gives me a sense of, like, identity and home. Like, I can't listen to his music without being like, this feels like home,
Yeah.
But, 40's one of them, Snoop's one of them, just because I've always looked up to Snoop. I've always said that I want to have an album one day where if I could work with all my idols, make it a timeline, Because I listen to everything from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010. So if I could have an album that progresses from beginning to end and has those features, if I could have Will Smith and if I could have Wayne on the same album, like, that would be amazing for me.
And I think that's what reflects in your album as well. Because when you hear the different styles, it's not all one style. And I think it's because you listen to the different generations. It makes it different.
Yeah, I feel like that's what people should do, especially music. We constantly have the old head and young head kind of, always butting heads.
And I'm on the old head side, but here's where I can get on the young head side, is if they acknowledge what the old artists have done and pay homage some way and just create your own artistry. Don't bite off at everyone, because at the same time, I feel like New York hip-hop has really lost its sound. There's only a few artists out here doing it. You have Dave East, 38 Special. I know a couple of people I've had on my show, like Bobby J, David Bars. They're still embodying that real hip-hop and lyrical sound. Whereas all these mainstream artists coming out of New York, they don't sound like Lil TJ. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it is no disrespect. Like, they're great artists, and I love to see the evolution because that's what makes hip hop such a great genre. So every 10 years, it's a completely different sound. And I think that's the reason why hip hop is the greatest genre of all time because you have so many different categories that fit into this one box called hip hop.
Yeah.
And there's really something for everybody to listen to. But when when you're talking about just sticking to the original sound, like I feel like West Coast has done that amazing. Like if you listen to Blueface, people listen to him, oh, he's offbeat.
Yeah.
He
Do you like
but that's the
Blueface?
West Coast style. Like E40 did the same thing.
Do you like Blueface?
Keep the Sneak did the same thing.
You like Blueface?
I do like Blueface. When I first listened to him, I did not like him. When I first heard Tatiana, I was like, bro, this guy's horrible. But then he did the song West Coast with G-Eazy, and I really listened to the words, and I was like, dude, this guy's like, he's not trying to be lyrical, he's not trying to, he's being fun, he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I like Will Smith, because it's like, it doesn't matter if you come across as corny or people don't like your music. If you're having fun, then that's enough for you to continue doing, keeping your love for hip hop. So I like Blueface because he's very, he's West Coast. You listen to his music, it sounds West Coast, but he's funny. He's just having fun, and I think that's something that's very important when it comes to being creative.
I'll tell you someone who had that West Coast sound on lock for a minute there, I would say, 2010, like around there, was Tyga.
Yeah, Tyga's another great artist. I really like Tyga's music.
I like his early work,
some of my music, Tyga, you can listen to it, like when you listen to Third National Anthem, you think of Tyga music.
Yeah, I think Tyga had things on lock. I liked his album, what was it, Hotel California. That album was crazy.
Yeah, I like the album before that one, Careless World. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was with
but even his newest one, Legendary, like you listen to it, every song on there is supposed to be a single for the radio. It's not really a musical, artistic album, but it just brings it back to him having fun. And his mixtapes are, completely different. And I feel like Tyga's very underrated since the people listen to him. It's like, oh, he makes club music, but he doesn't. Tyga can actually rap.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's a great artist.
He can rap. Have you seen him on like Tim Westwood and stuff from back in the day?
Oh yeah. Tyga can rap. Like I was playing Dedication 3 the other day, telling my friends like, bro, Tyga can rap. This is Tyga. He sounds like he didn't even go through puberty yet. He's probably like 17.
Yeah, Tyga had it back in the day. I haven't really checked out most of his recent work, but the Kardashian curse.
Man, he's the first person to break that curse.
You think so?
When Taste came out, I remember the day it came out, I listened to it and I was like, okay, this is an amazing song.
Yeah.
3 months later, it's the biggest song on the radio. I think it was a song of the summer.
I heard it on the radio. I would agree with you. I don't think Kanye's ever going to break the curse.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think he's trapped.
I think people definitely hate on him and keep him with that stigma.
The only reason why I don't like him is because of the comments he made. People can say, oh, well, you need to get over it with the whole Trump situation. I think what he said has an effect on generations of people, especially young people, and it'll make them go on and speak how he did in that TMZ thing. And it's just, he really shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Because
you're talking about Kanye. You're talking about
Kanye. With the whole MAGA hat and all that stuff that he did.
Yeah, man.
I wasn't for it.
And I mean, it's probably tough being a celebrity when you have your own opinions because you can't really put them out there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just feel like you have to be conscious of your brand. Like Kanye ruined his brand doing that.
He did. But there's also people that are still supporting him with buying the money. People will say, and that's the thing that's confusing. People will be like, oh, F Kanye for what he did. But then they'll go out and buy his album. It's like...
Yeah, Kanye has a very cult fan base.
He does. And then, they sleep outside where his clothing line, when he's releasing his clothes. Remember the Garden?
I feel like that takes away from artists.
Yeah, exactly. Remember at the Madison Square Garden when he was having his whole fashion line thing? I remember people going nuts in New York City over that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the hypebeast culture, but I just feel like those cult fan bases kind of take away from artists. Kanye West, Travis Scott, Lil Uzi, Taylor Swift, like all these people, like the K-pop fans. When I see them on Twitter, it's just like, bro, like, it irritates me to the point that I don't want to like that artist, Yeah,
and I agree because their fan bases can just be annoying, you know what I mean? And Kanye West is a great example of that, even though he has made great music over the years, I will say that.
Yeah, and I feel like if he had a normal fan base, that I think you would listen to them a lot more, and his career would be a little bit different. But in the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully, 10 years from now, we look at him the same way we looked at him a few years ago, instead of, oh, he was a has-been. I hope these next 10 years were great for him because, I was a fan of him as a kid. I still like his old music, so I really hope that, he switches directions and kind of gets back to himself. Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
Now, but let's get back to Cinematic Lifestyle. We're going completely all the way at a different artist. This is about Prince Mula here. So, who are some of the producers on this album?
Oh man, I gotta listen to that too. Let's see.
A list.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I try because, like I said, every song's completely different from the one before it, so I try to switch it up as much as I could. But every producer on here is someone I've either worked with before, have wanted to work with, or it just kind of fell into place. So on the intro, I got Young Kells. I worked with him, or I got a few beats from him for my last EP. I actually found him through a Birdman song. So that's cool. DJ Swift, big producer, he's on there as well. Dejan Beats, he's on No Pictures Please. I met him, or I didn't meet him. I found him just through BeatStars. So some of these people I met through BeatStars, some of these people I know personally. Tony Sway, he produced Steady Rockin' as well as sang on it. So
I think he did some work with Al B. Sure before too. I was reading about him.
Yeah, so I found him through Instagram, and then initially it was just the beat I had, and then I listened to him. I kind of did more research, found out he sang.
Yeah.
He ended up doing the hook, and then we just kind of started a relationship from there. Like, he's a cool guy. I always keep up with his music and vice versa, so that's fun. Jammy Beats I found through BeatStars. Saw Production. I think they reached out to me on Twitter like 2 years ago, and just building those personal relationships is how I just kept checking to the beats, and eventually I was like, okay, I like these, I'm gonna use this one on my album. C-Sock I found, he did G-Whip, just the G-Funk stuff. Ross Move, this one's interesting. So he produced Give You the World. So I remember the first time I heard that beat, he had a tag on it. And I heard the tag and I was like, bro, I know this tag and I don't know from where. And it took me about maybe 2 to 3 weeks to figure out where it was, because I looked them up and I was going through his credits. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
There's a song called Who Booty by John Hart. Came out in, and I Am Sue's on there. It came out in, I think, 2010. And I remember I was like, I heard the song came up on Shuffle and I heard the tag and I was like, that's where I know him. And so I thought that was the coolest thing ever because I used to love that song as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to the album and there are a few tracks on here that I think could blow. I think No Pictures Please, 100%.
That's definitely a fan favorite. A lot of people love that one. Real quick, a couple other producers. Neil Da Vinci, he's from New Orleans. So I found out of him. So, okay, Wayne had an artist named Flo that I used to listen to in middle school. He got locked up. But one of Flo's producers is Neil Da Vinci. And so I found him on Instagram and ended up getting beats from him. And they worked really close, so that was cool. And then Coast, shout out to Coast. He did a song on my last project too. That's my boy's cousin. And that's how One Day came about. One Day is a very interesting story as well.
How about we get into that story? What was that?
Okay, so let's see. One Day. So let me tell you the story.
This is your time now. This is your time.
This is my time. Okay, 2000, I think 15 or 16. It was right after my freshman year of high school, or like towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I was riding my bike to my friend's house. So we're all gonna go hang out. And my boy Zay calls me. My boy Zay raps, and he's like, "Yo, I just did this song. I want you to check it out." And so he sends me the audio file, and it's One Day.
Yeah.
And it had an empty verse on it, and I was like, "Yo, this is dope." And I was like, "Let me hop on it." So I recorded a verse. It was trash. I recorded it on my phone. And then he ended up getting some dude named City Sean on it. And right before they were gonna like continue working on the song, Coast, which is Zay's cousin who produced it, lost all the files. He lost his hard drive, lost all the files, and so then Coast started, working with bigger artists. He made stuff with like YB in the Mirror, SOB, and so he didn't really have time to go back and recreate the beat specifically. So then, 3 years later, I'm in my senior year of high school, and it was right before a football game. I was going through my emails just because, and I found the demo version of that song. And so I was like, dude, I like that song from the beginning. Just the beat instantly catches my ear. So I sent it to my engineer. I said, could we flip this? And then I sent it to Zay, and I was like, I'm gonna write another verse. If you like it, let's make it. So he's like, let's do it. So right before my game, I'm seeing that I wrote the whole verse, completely new verse. And my engineer's like, yeah, I can flip this. And so then me and Zay go to the studio a few months later. And so the way this works, he pulls up the demo. And the demo was a rough version of the hook, a rough version of the verse, and a completely empty verse, and none of it was mixed and mastered. So we completely got rid of Zay's verse, we duplicated that empty verse, and then my engineer has a software where he could take vocals out of an instrumental. So he took the hook out, he completely mixed and mastered it, put it back in, me and Zay re-recorded our parts, and then that's how the song came about.
What do you think is the biggest song on this album?
In terms of what fans like to listen to, I would probably say, looking at numbers, No Pictures Please is a really popular song, as well as G-Whip and the Third National Anthem and Cinematic Lifestyle. Those are 4 songs that people just really seem to listen to.
Cinematic Lifestyle, when I first heard that, I said, this is a hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was initially the outro, and then we switched it up. But it was just definitely like at the time, I think I was listening to a lot of NBA YoungBoy, and I just like the fact that he's putting emotion into it. And I mean, obviously, I know I can't sing, but I was like, I want to play around with auto tune. So I went in. I told my engineer, I was like, let's auto tune, and I went in and I just kind of tried to put emotion into it and talked about real life things, and then my engineer, thank God he's a singer because he knows how to sing. He knew exactly which notes to put into where.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't too far off, but he did it enough because I told him, I was like, I don't want you to auto-tune me to the point where it sounds like I can sing because I know I can't, but don't make it sound horrible.
Yeah.
So we kind of kept that good common ground, and yeah, the song turned out amazing.
It did. And how about performances? Have you done any performances for this album already?
Last performance I did, actually first and last performance because we're quarantining, was for the WSJU open mic. I performed G-Wit, and it was right before the album came out. And the reason I chose to do that was because it's an unreleased song. Nobody had heard it, so I was like, I want to surprise people the week before the album comes out. So I performed the song, and it was cool. Like right away, I was getting good feedback. I remember the next day I woke up and I had people texting me on Instagram that I had never met before. They were like, hey, I saw you perform last night. It was dope. And people from New York telling me like, yo, you really brought that West Coast style. Like, we don't have that here. And then I get into class that day, and some girl in my class was like, hey, your performance was dope last night. You reminded me of MC Hammer. So it's just like, man, that's crazy.
Oh, man. And I'm actually surprised that people open mic, took to that style too, because they usually want what's going on out here, which is a boogie, and we can go on all day. But the fact that you were able to come out here and give that audience your sound, that's props up to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, my thought going in was like, I already know nobody's gonna perform a G-Funk song. Like, we're in New York. Every song that people were performing was New York vibe, New York-esque, and so then I wanted to surprise people. But at the same time, this isn't modern day West Coast stuff. This is like '90s stuff. So people are gonna recognize it. People are gonna think Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Warren G. So when I performed it, like instantly, like shout out to my friend Showcase. She was recording it. She was like, yeah, like she was all the way in the back, and everybody was still moving their heads and vibing to it. So I was just like, it's pretty cool how even though I'm from a completely different part of the country, people still rock with it.
Yeah, I think you definitely have established some sort of fan base on St. John's University's campus. Do you feel like you have a large following on the campus?
I would say it's definitely growing. I feel like it kind of started out with just people in the radio station. Izzy, Jordan, G, like all these people right away, we clicked and started working together. I've been in the studio with them making beats and stuff, and I definitely look forward to working with them. Forrest as well. Like, it's cool because we all
shout out to
come from
him
different
too.
backgrounds, different sounds, and so when we come together, it's something new. And so I just feel like me being from, like I said, the West Coast brings a completely different style to the table.
Yeah, and I gotta ask this question to you too. How did you find out about WSJU Radio? I gotta ask this.
How did I find out about it? I think so my parents went to San Jose State, and they have a radio station on campus. So I was just like, okay, let's just see if they have one here. And my cousin went to St. John, so she told me they did. And so as soon like first club week, I was like, I'm signing up for this. And I signed up for a couple other clubs, but like from day one when I went to WSJU, it was like, okay, I click with these people. Like, these are cool people. Like, I'm not even just here because it's a radio station. I'm here because I actually rock with these people. And so I just made friendships, and that was enough to keep me coming back.
And I know you wanted me to interview since day one. You're like, when I got my album coming out.
Day one, bro.
I wanted to have you in the studio, but then this whole situation started going on. Break came up. I was going to make sure that we got the interview done. I had an open it tonight right away because I had to reschedule something else and then restructure that I can do it out of my own studio here. So now that I got you on, it's your time. But I know you had a huge track list like when we first met, and you already previewing me the songs. I was like, yeah, we'll work something out.
I told you, because I was like, man, like I want to get an interview, but I want to make sure he likes it, he thinks it's good enough to be interviewed about. And so then everyone's like, yeah, Max isn't gonna like it. He's an old head. I was like, bro, I got a G-Funk song on here. Like, I got 2000s R&B inspired. He's gonna like some of it.
Yeah, what I like is that you're your own artist. You know what I mean? People can't be their own artist out here, and that's the problem with the industry today.
Yeah, that's something I pride myself in. Like I said, just making sure I don't fit into a box. I want to be able, like I said, back to Wayne inspired me. I've heard Wayne on West Coast songs and kill him. I've heard Wayne in 90s beats and kill him. I've heard him on trap beats and kill him. And so it's like you can't put him in a box. And I feel like that's why I've been inspired to just do my own thing and not stick to one specific lane.
Yeah, and get back to the performances. Have you had any performances back home?
Well, okay. When I was a kid, I used to perform at the Boys and Girls Club. Me and Sos used to perform. So when I performed at the open mic a few weeks ago, that was my first performance since I was in middle school, since I was in 8th grade.
Now, what was it like getting that stage at a college?
It was, because it was 4 years, you know, I was rusty. I was like, okay, I might be rusty, but sound check was a little bit, okay, I'm a little nervous, but there's nobody in the crowd. I hit sound check, and by the end of sound check, I was like, nah, I got this, like, I'm chilling. And by the time I went on stage, like, I had no stage fright. Like, it just felt natural. It kind of felt like an adrenaline rush, but it was like, you know, I didn't want to look at the floor the whole time, or I didn't want to look at one specific person the whole time. Like, I felt engaged. That's how everybody engaged. So it's just like, it just felt natural right off the bat.
Yeah, that's what I wonder about artists too. I always ask them about their first performances because I want to know how they felt, because that could define their integrity as an artist too. Because if you're all, you know, just scrunched up and your palms are sweaty, as Eminem would say, and lose yourself, you know what I mean? And that shows integrity by you. You weren't afraid to go out there and do your performance.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's good that I've done it as a kid, you know? I've performed in front of crowds of like 80 people when I was a kid.
And that may have prepared you for the open mic event.
I think there's a little bit more at the open mic. I don't know specifically how much, but I know
80 people is a lot. That's a lot of people.
80 people is a lot, but there's definitely more than 80 at this performance. Like, there's people standing up in the back. Every seat was full. So, I mean, I'm sure if I would have paid attention to that, I would have been a little bit more rocky. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah. Now, what are some other your favorite tracks off this album?
Let's see. Sharks in My City was the first song that I wrote. I wrote that probably like the day after I put out my EP junior year. And it was just very much about paying homage to where I'm from. We got the San Jose Sharks. That's our hockey team. And
okay, you follow hockey. I respect that.
I don't follow hockey too much, but we got a team, so you know, gotta follow it enough. But yeah, we got our hockey team, so that's a very big thing, just the whole, you know, Shark City thing. And so we have a lot of talent in our city, but people don't pop off like that. The biggest group or the biggest musicians we have from our city is a mariachi group called Los Tigres del Norte. So it's like we don't have rappers that pop off like that, but we got, like, you know, we got Deja Carter's on here, so she's one of them. Deja Carter. We got this dude Craig White. We got Coast, he's a producer.
Okay,
we got
so you do have,
like, all these people are very talented.
You do have like the pop-in artists on your album from your area specifically.
Deja Carter, yes, and then my boy Zay, I went to high school with him, and Seasick as well. And then Ryan Palma is my engineer. Kianci is from the Bay, but then she moved to Vegas, but she's still from the Bay. I actually found out about Kianci through one of my favorite rappers, Neftafero. He has a song with her on one of his mixtapes, okay. So that's how I linked up with her. But bringing it back to the song, Sharks in My City is very much about, you know, we got talent, pay attention. These are the Sharks in my city. Pay attention to it. And so that's why I put Deja on there, because I was like, she's someone that has talent from my city that needs to be noticed. And so even though we're not getting the attention now, you know, this is like our call for, like, you know, you better keep an eye out for us.
Yeah, I definitely like some of these tracks on here, and I think a lot of them could blow up. And I want to ask you this next question. What are you doing to market that album so it reaches a larger audience?
I've been playing around with Instagram promotions. My manager's been telling me to do that. It's definitely something I've tried. But I think just going to New York was something in itself, because it's like, okay, I have people from high school that know who I am. I have people I grew up with who know who I am. Yeah. So that's going to spread through the Bay Area. They got this Instagram page called San Jose Rap Radar. They show love. So shout out to them. You know, I've gotten my little bit of exposure throughout my city, but now I'm going to the other side of the country. So if I'm getting exposure there as well, you know, it's a college campus. Everybody goes home, tells their friends that experience. And so then people back home that may not be listening to me, they see that I'm popping in New York, they see I'm popping somewhere else. It spreads. If I look at my demographics, I mean, I got other countries that listen to me. Canada, like Ukraine, like all these random countries. I'll be like, bro, why are all these people from this random country listening to me?
And now it's your time to take your craft into consideration, reach other audiences, especially now that you're home. You know what I mean? Market that, promote that more on social media, get that out there. Think of ideas, you know, you can get that music out there more, especially for larger audiences now that people are home, because they're looking for things to listen to. I know I am, so.
Oh, yeah, hey, we're going to be quarantined for the next 3 weeks, so somebody's going to listen to me.
Yeah, or longer. They're saying that the worst is yet to come. That's what I've been hearing on the news reports. I really don't know how long we could be in our houses for, but until then, quarantine radio and a quarantine artist right here.
Yeah, man, they've been saying that it could last till the summer and even longer. I think I think we'll see within the next 2-3 weeks. Because, okay, what they're saying is it takes 2 weeks to get better, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't been 2 weeks yet
Nope.
since it's gotten big. So, who knows? 2-3 weeks, a lot of people could recover, or it could just keep spreading. So I think the quarantining is going to help definitely shut everyone down. We're quarantined for 3 weeks, so people are going to get better. So I think it's just a matter of if it's going to be better or worse.
Yeah. Now, how are your online classes going?
Pretty good, man. My teacher last night, I'm in West Coast time, so he sends an email at midnight saying, "Oh, we're having an online class tomorrow." But midnight here is 3 a.m. in New York.
Yeah.
So then the class is at 9 a.m. New York time, which is 6 a.m. my time. So I was like, you know what? I'm sleeping in tonight. But if it's a normal thing, I'll have to get up for his class.
And that's
aside from that, like, it's cool.
And that's an adjustment these professors need to make, especially the school. Because what happens if you have a 7:30 and you're on the West Coast? You're going to get up at 4 to do your class?
That's true. I got a friend that lives in Africa. 9 a.m. over there is 2 p.m. over for him. So, like, he's fine. But then, you got people that could be in the middle of the night for them. So it just kind of depends. I think it's something that we're going to have to figure out. But, I mean, aside from that, all my other teachers have been cool. Assign work and just do it. It's kind of just like getting homework.
And there's a poll going around here. I don't know if you saw it. Well, more of a petition, and I'll give the shout out right now. That's in this, Drip Homage, right?
Drip Homage, yeah. I did see that. This morning.
There's a petition going around for the pass-fail this semester. So maybe they can do something with that. I don't know. Well, I'd be all for it because you know what? I'm at home. It's not school to me. I'm not in a learning environment like I am in school.
It sucks. Like, it's hard. I was talking to my cousin. He goes to Fordham, and he's in the same situation. It's tough to, like, sit down at home and do schoolwork. Like, if I could just go to the library and do my work, I could, but they're shutting that down.
Exactly. They got to take this into consideration. I know the petition also advocates for if a family member gets it, and then you're in the house with it.
If even we get it, like, I'm not going to want to do homework if I'm dying.
If I get it, I'm going to be staying in my bed and not getting out. Maybe for my show, but not for schoolwork.
yeah. But, I mean, I think it's just something that changes by the day. 2 weeks ago, I did not expect to be here. Now I'm here. So I think the school has to handle it on a day-by-day thing. So who knows what they'll do. I know that my little brother's school and the whole East Side School District here is... they just ended classes. They're like, oh, all these kids are done for 3-4 weeks. They don't have to do any work, and they're not falling behind. We're still giving them credits.
That's good. I wish St. John could do that, but let's keep moving forward and just,
keep moving forward. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope things change because I don't want to be sitting in my house doing homework, quarantined. And I said this too. I said everything else is canceled. The gyms are canceled. Can't go out there. Can't watch movies. Can't go out to the mall. Can't go out to restaurants. But we still have school. How great is that? I can't even watch sports anymore.
Yeah, man, it's tough. But I don't know, man. Like I said, it still feels like I Am Legend, but I didn't think I'd be alive for this. So, hey, at least 10 years from now, like, yeah, my freshman year ended early, but 10 years from now, I'm going to remember it.
That's right.
I'm going to remember it.
And that's another thing, too, I never thought about as a junior. What does a freshman think about this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of feels like freshman year was short-lived. But at the same time, I mean, it could be worse. I got friends that are seniors that are talking about they don't get to, live their last experiences. So that sucks. But hopefully they can make up for that. Maybe they can have a late graduation or put an event together just to kind of make up for lost times.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll keep moving forward.
I mean, high schools are having their proms canceled. Like, it's crazy.
Lives are being changed out here. Think about the NBA draft. You know what I mean? March Madness is done right now. So how's the NBA draft going to move forward?
Bro, the Lakers are supposed to make playoffs this year.
Number one.
If they cancel the NBA, I'm going to be heartbroken. Kobe would not want this to happen.
Yeah, no. and you know what? If you look at this, 2020 has been probably the worst year that I've lived through. Just seeing everything that's happened. We almost went to World War III, the beginning of the year. Then Kobe died. Then Pop Smoke died. And then now this. And it's just...
Bro, it's barely March.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what's going to come at the end of the year? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's scary. Yeah. And speaking of sports, you have a Raider hat on. Raiders all in the background there. How do you feel about your Raiders moving to Las Vegas?
Man, it's heartbreaking. I mean, they've been talking about it for years, so it was going to happen. I really wish it wouldn't happen, but, I mean, we can't be mad about it to the players. It's not the players' fault. They're going to play. It's the owner's fault, and personally, I don't think the owner knows too much about football, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But do you think fans will stop rooting for them because they moved to Las Vegas? Because the Oakland has a strong fan base.
Yeah, for sure. Here they have. I know that I think the day after that the Raiders officially became Las Vegas, the Oakland Coliseum put up a big sign for the Niners for making the Super Bowl. And that Raider-Niner rivalry is like, that's like Bloods and Crips out here, man. It's crazy.
I don't know. We're going to have to see, including that NFL free agency is this week. So we'll have to see what the Raiders do and more teams. And I'm hearing that it might postpone because of the whole coronavirus as well. If that postpones, it's going to be a very boring March. No March Madness and no NFL free agency.
It is. I did see this morning that they are going to do the draft. So that'll be fun. And DeAndre Hopkins got traded today. So they're still making moves. It's just a matter
of... Where did he get traded? I didn't really pay attention.
He got traded to the Cardinals.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so, yeah, we'll see. But, I mean, in terms of the Raiders leaving Oakland, like, it's heartbreaking. But, you know, they'll always be Oakland. They went to L.A. and they kept their fan base here. So, you know, hopefully everyone just stays together and continues to show love.
Yeah. And let's get back to Cinematic Lifestyle, which is available on all music platforms. You gotta give it quick to the camera here. Cinematic Lifestyle. Make sure you go get it. Available on all platforms. And how long did it take you to put this album together?
I started around my junior year of high school, so I would say it's 2020 right now. Probably 2 to 3 years.
Okay. 2 to 3 years. How long do you think it'll take you to make your next project?
It depends. I mean, I always have ideas in my head. Like, even while I was working on this one, I had ideas for other projects. But this was one that I had my mindset on. I think from here on out, it's just going to be me continue. Because I've been writing, you know, even before I put out the album, I've been writing. I have stuff that I haven't recorded yet. So I think I'm just going to continue to be experimental with this. And then maybe, I don't know if I could work on multiple projects at the same time. I don't know if I want to put out a mixtape, if I want to do more remixes, if I want to put out a small EP. Like, I want to do a G-Funk EP and, you know, work a little bit more of that stuff. Yeah. I wanted to do like a concept album. So it's just ideas that flow in my head. I want to do more merch because I haven't put out merch in a few years. So it's just trying new things.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any performances lined up in the future at all before this coronavirus went down, either in your area or New York?
I did have, I forgot the name of the club. There's a club on campus. It's a poetry club, and they had reached out to me to perform. I think that event was supposed to be last week, so that got canceled.
Okay.
And then
that's unfortunate, though.
I know WSAU wanted to do a couple other things, and I was definitely, going to be the first one there. Yeah. So
we wanted to bring back Can You Kick It and a few other events, in which that won't be happening now because semester's done. So next year we'll see how things go, and we'll get some events going again. But tell me about the meaning of your name, Prince Mula.
So, as a kid, I had different names, just kind of thinking of different things. I always wanted to have, like, multiple names, kind of like how Wayne had the different names, Weezy, Tunchi, whatever. Yeah. Eminem had the different names, So, I was always something that I thought was cool. And so, one of the names I came up with, I was, like, in middle school, was Prince Moneybags. Mm-hmm. And so, I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to make that my Instagram name. And I remember it was too long, it didn't fit. So, then I just shortened it to Prince Mula. And then when I went into high school, I had people telling me, like, that's a dope name. You should make that your rap name. So, freshman year, I was like, you know what, that's my rap name from here on out. And so, I mean, I've had that name for years now. And it's crazy because I see people trying to take it, but I don't think it's generic. So, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But as of now, yeah, that's the name.
That's the name. And you also have in your bio on Instagram, Father or Lil TJ?
No, Lil Tay.
Oh, Lil Tay. Okay.
Yeah, so about honestly, I was just talking to my girl about that. Like, I forgot about that being in my bio. Okay. So, like, 2 years ago, there's a little girl, her name was Lil Tay.
Okay, Lil Tay.
It was Lil Clout. What's that?
Yeah, Lil Tay. I just checked it out on your bio now.
She was a little kid. So her mom was a real estate agent, and she used to go to all the houses and pretend like they were hers and say she was rich, and she was like this big old thing. She was friends with all these rappers, Trippie Redd, and everyone else. So then I was like, okay, like, this little kid's funny. And they're like, oh, she's rich. So I was like, bro, like, I'm Prince Mula. I could just say that that's my kid. And just, just for fun, just see what people say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just jokes. Just trolling.
But I want to get more into Prince Mula. And I think you should wait a while till you drop something. Because let's promote the album. Let's get that going more. Because the people are hungry. And they got to be satisfied after a while. You can't just be throwing out tracks constantly. That's what needs to end too, I think, in this industry. Is just
I agree. A lot of artists put out so much music, and there's maybe 1 or 2 songs that are gonna live. And so I just feel like taking your time with the project, putting it out is what works. And that's what I'm definitely going to do. If I put out a mixtape, it's going to be on SoundCloud. It's not going to be on iTunes. I want to keep, my bodies of art separated from what else I do. But I'm working on other stuff. Me and my cousin are working on a documentary.
Okay.
A documentary of the album, behind the scenes stuff, meanings behind stuff, what I did the past 2 years. And so, documentary is what I'm working on. Like I said, merch. Like, I want to come up with merch maybe this summer.
What kinds of merch?
Because it's been a while. What's up?
What kinds of merch?
T-shirts for sure. T-shirts. I came up with a couple designs. I put out my Wave Season EP, and I came out with a shirt, and people really liked it. And so when I started working on the album, it was kind of like, okay, like, I'm done making the merch. I'm done with that. I just want to focus on the album. But like, shout out to my manager. He got this brand. It's called Menace Messiah. Shout out to them. It's a good quality brand. Like, I got the people in my corner that can teach me how to do those kinds of things. So I definitely want to try new things, but music is always going to be, priority when it comes to what I'm doing creatively.
Yeah, and it's important to have a graphic designer for that too when they do design your merch.
Yeah, I know different people, so it's kind of like it depends on what the vibe is I'm trying to capture, and then I can match it. So okay, this person could do this. I have someone that does my single art. If I had Edgar Daniel do my album cover because that's what I wanted his vibe to be. So it just depends, and I know enough graphic designers to kind of do all that.
Yeah. So what's next for you, Prince Mula?
What's next for me? I think, like I said, man, I think I'm just going to take it, play it by ear, just continue to write, continue to record. And if I see myself going into a project, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm working on a documentary, so I'm excited for that. Put out some merch. Shout out to my manager, Alex Lopez. I mean, we brainstorm all the time, whether it's in music, outside of stuff. And like I said, he's a businessman himself. He has his own brand. And just seeing him work, I feel like I've been able to feed off his ideas, and we feed off each other's ideas and energy. So when it comes to thinking creatively, like, it just happens. So there's really no set plan right now. It's just continue being creative. I want to collaborate with people. I got tons of friends that like make music that I haven't worked with. My boy Young Tears, we've been talking about making music for 2 years. Just hasn't happened yet. Forrest, I want to make a song with Forrest.
Oh yeah.
We've been talking about it. It hasn't happened yet. I know Gary wants to work on a project for WSJU, so it's just brainstorming. Things are gonna happen.
Yeah, and I'll see too that it happens, because now I don't know what's gonna happen with the station and everything for next year, but I'll make sure that we get things going for next year. Some events that'll give you and other artists more opportunities on the campus to perform, since we were shorthanded because of the whole coronavirus thing going around. Well, let's hope that clears up quickly. But I want to get your reaction to a major artist retiring back in November, I believe. That's on the West Coast, because I don't get to talk to a lot of West Coast artists, and that's The Game.
The Game. Are you talking about The Game?
We're Born to Rap.
Bro, Born to Rap was a great album.
That album was
definitely
fire.
one of my favorite albums.
Yeah, that album was fire, man. What was your reaction to that album and him saying that he's retiring?
The thing about Game is, and a bunch of other rappers, I mean, Wayne said he was going to retire after the Carter 5, and now Funeral's out. So I think when it comes to an artist like The Game that's been around for so long, he could take a break, he can go be a father, he could live his life, but I think retirement is thrown around a little loosely. He could be done with music for a while, but if he put out another album, I wouldn't be surprised, because Jay-Z retired, Snoop's old, and he's still putting out music. So I don't think you can really take the art away from an artist. I'm a fan of Bow Wow's music, and I went to go see him on the Millennium Tour last week. I know he's working on a project with Omarion, so it's like you could retire, but years from now you're still gonna be in the studio.
You're still gonna be dropping stuff.
It's different compared to like when a basketball player retires.
Yeah, and then they're officially done, because you can always hit up the studio when you want to.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't take the art away from the artist.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, but The Game is another great artist I've looked up to my whole life. I mean, even his discography is hard for me to rank. Like, it's hard for me to tell you my favorite Game albums.
Okay, give me your top 3 favorite Game albums.
It's between the documentary, the Red album, Jesus Peace, and Documentary 2.
Documentary 2? What year? I see that in the interview I had with, shout out to Jello Beach. I did the interview with him. We were talking about The Game Documentary 2, and I always forget the year. I think it was 2016. Let's see if I'm right.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, 2016. So, okay, so there's a track on there. It's called...
2015. I want to get that
2015.
Right. Yeah, 2015.
Okay, so Quince Grove is on there. And that's a song that... It didn't inspire G with, but I remember I was listening to my music on shuffle and that song came up, and I was like, bro, the fact that The Game put out a G-Funk song in 2016 amazes me. And so then that's what inspired me to say, you know what, let me try older things. And
Yeah.
so I was listening to a lot of G-Funk at the time, and I was on my way to a football game. We're on the bus, and that's when I started writing it. And so that's a perfect example of kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone to create something new or nostalgic.
Yeah. And a big track on Cinematic Lifestyle too that I know people have run up on SoundCloud and other platforms is Dripaholic.
Yeah, that was the third single. Initially, it was supposed to be No Pictures, Please, and then I put out Dripaholic because, so when I first started working on the project, it was supposed to be split in 3 parts. It was R&B, West Coast, and trap music.
Okay.
And so Steady Rockin' was the R&B single, One Day was the West Coast single, and so Dripaholic was supposed to be the trap single. But the trap music is still a very loosely thrown around term. Dripaholic is more kind of auto-tuney. And what I wanted to do with it is, be melodic, be auto-tuney, but at the same time, when it comes to rapping, I want to rap.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I was also experimental because it's like people don't do that. If you're doing auto-tune, it's very, that specific sound. But I was like, no, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to rap on this song. I'm not supposed to.
Do you prefer using auto-tune or do you like just going raw vocals?
I like doing both.
Yeah.
It just depends on the sound I'm trying to capture. I mean, a lot of my favorite artists use auto-tune. A lot of my favorite artists don't use auto-tune. So it just really depends on the vibe I'm feeling. If it's a very raw, aggressive, if I want to rap, then I want raw vocals. But if it's, I want to sing a little bit or I want my notes to be carried out a little bit, then I'm going to throw on auto-tune. Sometimes I want to rap and throw auto-tune on it. So it's still very, a mix of both.
Yeah. And as you mentioned before, you performed G-Whip at the open mic event.
Yeah.
What's another song that you would perform at a different event? Say if campus opened back up, in which it's not, but let's say for instance, what would be the song that you would perform now that Cinematic Lifestyle is out? Available on all platforms.
No Pictures, Please is definitely something I want to perform just because that's everybody's favorite song. I mean, I got people texting me all the time how much they like that song. So that's something that's, it's fun, it's upbeat, people like to listen to it. So hey, I can get the crowd moving with that one. But if it became to my creative control, if I could put a whole set together, I would start off with the intro and I would end it with Cinematic Lifestyle, the last song on the set, just because it's very, it's personal, it's auto-tuning, it's kind of all right, everybody turn off the lights, pull out your cell phones, turn your light on, it's that type of song.
I agree. I'd like to hear No Pictures, Please, and I mentioned that earlier, but that would be one of the ones to blow up. How about visuals? Can we expect any Prince Mula music videos at all?
Me and my manager have been talking about it. He's been wanting me to do a Steady Rockin' video, but when I was locked into the album, that's what I was doing. But me and my boy were supposed to do a music video. It was either for Airplane Mode or Intro. We were debating between those 2 songs. We're gonna film that in the city, but we're quarantined, so I can't do that no more. But I do have ideas in my head. It's just a matter of executing them how I want to do it. But I think I'm gonna wait a little bit, maybe see what songs are popping off a little bit, and then make visuals from there.
Yeah. What are some other songs that you want to do visuals for, besides the intro and?
I think G-Whip would be a fun song to do a visual too. Just kind of get a little.
Cinematic Lifestyle would be a good one.
It would. That would be a good one as well. One day we were supposed to do a 1 day visual, but that kind of fell through. But I think the reason I want to do an intro is because it's talking about life. It's talking about where I've been as a kid. It's talking about where I am now. And
the intro is powerful, and that's important. A lot of these artists in the industry have done powerful intros. If you look at Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares, that's an intro. You know what I mean? That intro has impacted generations of people and influenced people to make music on their own or just what they do. Like I know NFL players are coming out to that at the draft. That's an inspirational song. And another artist too that has a great intro is Local Warbucks on his album. And I've just noticed the trend of intros growing. So if you have a strong intro on your album, you're set. Yeah,
man. Intros I think are important. It is very old school. I was listening to it's a title show with Elliott Wilson in the car.
Yeah.
And Wade was on there talking about Funeral, talking about that first song here, it's an intro, and how today, people don't do intros. But I just feel like intro is a good way to kick off the album. If you have an intro, it's not going to be a song that's a single. It's not going to be, but you can get very personal with it, and you can kind of paint the picture. So if you listen to the intro, the first 3-4 seconds is a countdown, like a 3, 2, 1 countdown, like in the old movies. And the album's called Cinematic Lifestyle. So if I'm doing a visual, I'm showing you that countdown, and that's the introduction to the project.
Yeah. But yeah, this album is very solid, and I think it could do numbers just people finding out about it. As you said, people in the UK and Canada already know about it. So just expanding the base here. And how do you plan on getting bigger in your city?
I mean, now that
And state.
school's over, I mean, I guess I could try to do more performances. I'm just going to continue to network. I mean, like I said, there's so many people here that I've been wanting to work with that I just never had a chance to for this album. So now going forward, like Craig White is somebody I want to work with. My manager's boy Dren Almighty, I want to work with him. So there's just so many artists that I want to work with that I just haven't gotten to work with yet. So, you know, continuing to network, I feel like networking is also a great way to expand your fan base, because if I make a song with somebody else and we have two different fan bases, we introduce each other to each other's music.
Yeah. I think that's the best way. Networking, take the advantage of being at home right now to seeing what you can do and thinking about your craft and
stepping out of my comfort zone as well. Like, I got friends that make music that is completely out of my comfort zone, but if I can go in and execute it correctly, that's a completely different fan base that's going to start listening to me.
Yeah, that's important though, networking and stepping out of the comfort zone, doing what you have to do as an artist to get your sound heard to a bigger audience. And yeah, but I think that's a very good start. And like I said, Cinematic Lifestyle is available on all platforms. Make sure you go get it. I know you put a lot of work into this album. And last question I want to ask you here is, how do you feel you can grow more as an artist? Anything that you can improve on? Because I know you're big on that, because you made the post on Instagram saying how you improved over the years. How do you feel you can still improve?
I feel like the great thing about improvement, especially over the last few years, you know, when I talk about I've seen my improvement. Yeah. I didn't notice it till the end. When I finished the album, I went back and listened to myself as a kid and the things I had recorded, and I was like, wow, this is horrible. But now it's starting to fall into place. Same thing with going forward. You know, I can't just plan, oh, this is what I have to do to get better. It all comes with, you know, repetition and continuing to do it. I can become a better lyricist by working on more lyrical stuff. I've been working on like some fun, like Blueface type metaphors that's just like, let me just have fun, you know, and then at the same time I want to turn around and do something lyrical. So it's like just trying new things, stepping out of my comfort zone is the way I can improve, but just experience, you know, continuing to record and continue trying new things, continue to collaborate, and being competitive, you know, going out and wanting to be better than what I was before.
Is there anything else you want to get out here today on this show? Now's your time.
Man, that's pretty much it, man. Check out the album, Cinematic Lifestyle. It's available everywhere. I got a documentary coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. Hopefully some new merch coming soon. Keep an eye out for that. And shout out Menace Messiah Club.
Yes, sir. I want to thank you for calling in today. I know we couldn't do this in person, but you know, when we get back, we'll do the in-studio interview and all that.
We'll do it.
You know what I mean? We'll get to it in the studio, but for now, it's time for people to listen to Cinematic Lifestyle. Make sure you go get it. Available on all platforms. And support Prince Mula. And tell them where they can follow you on Instagram and Twitter.
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Prince Mula, or you can find me online at www.princemula.com.
Oh, so you have your own website.
PRINCEMULA.
Okay, you have your own website now. That's important too. You're already way ahead of a lot of these independent artists out here. A lot of them are just on Instagram, so.
Oh yeah, no man, we gotta make sure we get the whole.
Okay, when did you start your website? I got more questions.
I started the website right. It was either right before or right after I put out the EP, because I was just looking at like the history of it. I made it in like April. EP came out in like February, so it was about maybe 2-3 years ago.
Okay, tell them what that website is again. Tell them what it is.
It's www.princemula.com. That's PRINCEMULA.com.
There you go. Prince Mula, I want to thank you for calling in, and I'll be sending you this video very shortly, and we'll be putting up and promoting it, making sure that people know who Prince Mula is, and where they can tune into Cinematic Lifestyle. All right, I want you to take care and stay safe out here, all right?
I appreciate it, man. Have fun quarantining.
Yeah, we'll do. All right, man.
All right.
I'll see you later.
All right, later.
Here we go. Prince Mula, we're about to play one of his tracks on here, Cinematic Lifestyle. Make sure you go check that out on all platforms now. As you are tuned in to DJ Mad Max in his own studio, not on WSJU radio, but Quarantine Radio. I'll be back on the airwaves and video waves, podcast waves, whatever you want to call it, Wednesday night. Stay tuned to who I have on. Keep it locked, Cinematic Lifestyle.
Baby, I got dreams, you know I gotta chase 'em. Haters in my way, you know I gotta face 'em. You know I'm the star, I'm flying in a spaceship. I gotta set my goals, my movie, I'm amazing. Shit, you know I live a movie, it's amazing. Life's a trip and I'm always on vacation. Why you talking if you've never made the payment? Shit, you know I live a movie, it's amazing. I'm so fly up in my ship, I think I'ma go escape. Wanna cop a crib and Alex gon' do all the real estate. I'm a stunner, but you know I need them diamonds in my face. Sent a text to my homie, told him he gon' beat the case. And he did, but it's fucked up all the problems that it gives. I told him focus on this music and his hits. And now we cooking in the studio making hits. That's my dog, never back on my grind. Got me in album mode, man, I do this all the time and it's never getting old. I've been rapping all my life, never had to sell my soul. Now I'm tryna check the time, but the rolling hella gold. Baby, I got dreams, you know I gotta chase 'em. Haters in my way, you know I gotta face 'em. You know I'm a star, I'm flying in a spaceship. I gotta set my goals, my movie, I'm amazing. Shit, you know I live a movie, it's amazing. Life's a trip and I'm always on vacation. Why you talking if you've never made the payment? Shit, you know I live a movie, it's amazing. And I'm living in the movie, it's amazing. And it's crazy, like back in the day with Zay said, I'm only signed to my own label, fuck it, agent. Haters hate but buy my merch, yeah, they paying, they paying. Shawty, why you playing? With all this money in the way that I be spraying. And she tell me that I'm super underrated, but she just chill with me in public cause I'm famous. And these suckers out your clowns, but you know that I'm just trying to get the picture like a Kodak. All this ice